Hey, welcome to the Restaurant Coach Podcast. Today, I am so honored to have not only an amazing, talented chef, but also a friend, Terrance Brennan. Terrance, how are you today, my friend?
Well, considering all things, I'm doing very well. Uh, my family's healthy, so that's number one. And then
Right.
I stay busy and work out and take care of myself. So I I'm doing well as you can under the circumstances.
Right. I see your whiteboard in the background's full of stuff.
Oh,
So
yes, for my next all my ideas, right?
nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, tell everybody, if they haven't tuned in and heard you before, tell a little bit about where you're at right now, and a little bit about your background.
Right. So I'm right now I'm hunkered down in Poughkeepsie, New York, in Hudson Valley.
Hmm.
I've been my background. I've been in the restaurant business all my life. My parents had a restaurant when I was 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Hmm.
So I started then, and I'll just make this brief and just stay. All through high school, worked in restaurants. Knew I wanted to be a chef when I was a ninth grade. So I kind of stayed on that path and worked in various places in the DC area. 92 came, 82, 92, 82 came to New York and worked on the Cirque and a couple of other great restaurants. Went to Europe for a couple of years, trained there, and then in 1990, and then came back and was executive chef for a couple of restaurants in New York, and then opened my own restaurant, Michelin, in 1993 and had that for 25 years. Opened a lot of other restaurants in between all that. Artisanal Fromagerie and Bistro. Opened up a cheese company. I don't know. Opened up other restaurants, and then as of late, for about a few years now, I started Brennan Group Hospitality, which now I do consulting and management contracts, and that's what I'm up to lately. Is I've been consulting and with restaurants, hotels, and
Right.
other food companies.
Yeah, and you've been really active lately on Instagram. I love your Instagram feed.
Oh,
You,
thanks.
you've been doing some really great stuff. I mean, the stuff you've been cooking at home, telling you, man, it makes me want to get back in the kitchen and play
Yeah,
again. You know?
I'm doing Don. Don, I'm doing more cooking now than I did in years.
Ah,
Years, because when you're owner or executive chef
yeah.
and running the kitchen, so you're consulting, you're not in there cooking side, physically cooking. You taste and you
Hmm.
direct, you give demos, but yeah, I'm cooking up a storm. It's just like wow. It's in my home kitchen, I really didn't cook a lot in it, so I had to
Mm.
I didn't have to, but as I'm cooking, I got this. Now the kitchen is like exactly the way I want it. It's organized. I got every piece of equipment, so it's very efficient now with cooking. So
Hmm.
yeah, I've been cooking a lot, and it's been fun. But I also, I clean up a lot. I do it all, so it's just myself, and
Yeah.
so I cook, I clean, I video, and then edit. So but it's keeping me busy. It's good.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw some pictures of. Did you go to the Cayman Islands with your
Yes,
son?
I did the Cayman Island cookout with Eric Repair a few
Yeah, it looks
years
pretty cool.
ago.
Oh, the pictures look great. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys look like you had a good time down there.
Oh my God, that is like I've done. Over the years, I've done so many of these chef events.
Hmm.
That one is tops, man. They just that and now Picasso's 25th anniversary party. They just pull out the red carpet for the chefs, and it
Wow.
was a blast. It's a great event, and it's a great event for the guests too. It really is. It's
Hmm.
really that was a ton of fun, and the bonus was my son was there with me, so that was great.
Yeah, that must be really amazing. I mean, the pictures. I mean, I see pictures of you, and you and I've been we've known each other
Yeah,
for a while, and you just look so happy with
yeah.
your son standing next to you. I mean, that was
Oh
like
my God.
really, I mean,
Yeah, I just posted Instagram with him Throwback Thursday,
hmm.
and he spent at one point he's in a tech business. He has he works in with tech, and at one point he thought he started cooking a lot. Like he started getting home meal kits. This is a couple years ago, and he started asking me questions about restaurants. Going and then what? Out of the blue, he asked me like, "Dad, how much would it cost to like open up a small restaurant on the Lower East Side?" I was like, "What?" Then we so and he's. I said, "Why don't you come work with me?" So he helped me open up two restaurants this last summer. I
Oh
did two
wow, very
projects.
cool.
He was in the kitchen with me, so he did his day job, and then came came to
That's
work at
impressive.
night, it was just great. I just loved it because he never really saw me in my element, in my
Yeah, yeah.
environment. I mean, little bits and pieces. And when they were growing up, they had no interest, right? I was just
Right,
dad,
right.
the chef, and when I came home, I was dad, the dad. Not, I didn't
Hmm.
really talk about, they just weren't. We lived in Connecticut, and they didn't come to my restaurants a lot. They didn't hang out, and I took weekends off, and I was dad at home, and
Yeah.
went to the city during the week, and so they weren't all that interested, and I didn't try to get them interested. If they were interested in, then
Hmm.
I would have, got them involved, but I didn't want to like push it on them,
Hmm.
that life, because as yeah, how difficult it can be, and but how rewarding
Yes, yes.
fun it can be. But you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it. Otherwise, it's tough, right?
So let me ask you a question, a little off topic here. So a lot of people, like when they see me in the kitchen, it's like, they say like you're a different person than when you're
Mhm.
out of the kitchen. Do
Mhm.
you have like a persona, a chef persona per
Yes,
se?
yes, I do. I mean, listen, when I'm in the kitchen, I'm serious, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
although I've learned to loosen up now and have more fun, and
Hmm.
just like this last project I did last summer, not the last one, but was in an open kitchen. Like the guests were right there. It was at the Chef's Club. You know the Chef's Club?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So I did a residency there for 3 months.
Oh
And they
wow,
had
very cool.
a restaurant called Côte Midi. It was a French
Hmm.
Mediterranean, which I love, and I was all this fresh seafood and stuff. But the kitchen is literally, they have a counter right there, and it was the first time I was really like, that close to guests, and I really had a good time. Like seeing people, like you could really just see them eat something and they just start shaking their head. I mean, I think the best compliment when you see someone look at each other, when they look at each other and they start shaking their head like, oh, oh. I mean, that's yeah. It
Exactly.
was a lot of fun. I just learned, like, what, because when we're 2 Michelin stars and you're trying to get three, every little thing is just so
Yeah.
important and intense. And then last summer I had it with my son there, and it was just more of a casual place, and it was a lot of fun. I learned to loosen up and have good, have a lot more laughs, and not be so serious. But yeah, I definitely, you put that chef coat on, it's just
Yep.
like, okay,
I
turn
t-
on that. What's the word I'm looking for? The different your
Intensity.
yeah, but I'll think of it in a minute. But it's a word I'm thinking
Yeah.
about.
No,
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I tell people I put the chef coat on. It's a state change for me.
yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
just
The
changes
mindset,
my
right?
persona. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm filming, I don't have my chef light outfit on, and then sometimes you can't see it, but I'm on bare feet. I just take on a different attitude. When I'm on my bare feet, I'm just like, I don't focus as much. I make mistakes. Maybe I don't make.
Yeah, yeah.
I just like, okay, whatever. Anything goes at home cooking. But when I'm at work, it's very precise. Sometimes I look at the videos and go, oh my god, things are out of place a little bit, and it like drives me crazy. Like I'm a little sloppy at home, which I'm not at work. At work, and I hold my team
I
to
know
the
it's
same
it's
standard. But at
precision. Yeah, yeah.
home, I'm a little more a little more looser for sure.
Very cool. Well, COVID-19 really has shaken our industry down to its core. What is your view of the industry right now as you see it?
I tell you, it's been devastating. My restaurants have been in New York. I
Hmm.
consult in New York a lot. I have friends in New York. I don't have restaurants personally anymore.
Right.
But listen, I've been through hurricane, 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, 2007, 8
Hmm.
meltdown, uh, the meltdown, and those were tough times. So this is like all three of them put together, plus times 10,
Right.
and lasting a lot longer. So I know the feeling of the desperation, or the feeling of where how you're going to pay your staff, or how you operate a business and dealing with the landlords when you don't have the resources, and et cetera. So it's bad, and it gets down to like making tough decisions, right? Like
Hmm.
I've been guilty of letting things kind of like, the problems aren't going to go away. So
Right.
it's better to take them head on. Make have those difficult conversations with your partners, with your landlords, with your staff,
Hmm.
and be straight, and be have transparency, and that's the best way to work through things like this. And then if you got to do what you have to do. I mean, there's no the reality is the reality. To be in reality, to deal with the issues, to deal with them head on, and then if you have to close, you have to lay people, whatever you have to do, you do it sooner than later. And it's bad in New York. The PPP money is running out or about to run out. Listen, I'm an optimist by nature, and I think within this disaster there are going to be there's going to be opportunity. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pain and closures to get to the other side. And so I think right now you're going to see the carnage begin. You already saw some major stuff like with Thomas Keller's restaurant closing. That was a shock, and Blue Hill Stone Barns, that was a real shocker. And you're going to see a lot more of that going on. And restaurateurs will have to learn how to pivot. And some restaurants can't do the takeout pickup scenarios very well. Some can. Some are successful at it. Some aren't. But you really have to figure it all out. You cannot make money being 50% full. I mean, right now New York has been, and you can sit outside, and they've been going into the streets with sitting tables. But when fall comes and if they allow seating inside, which I think they will, and only be full 50%, and no bar service. I mean, you can't make money unless you totally change your model, where it's going to be 3 appetizers, 3 entrees, or very limited menu, limited staff. You make a new financial deal with your landlord. Then that's what you're gonna have to do for a year or two. And for me, New York, unfortunately, my forecast is it's not going to come back until you get a vaccine. And then even when they get a vaccine, it's going to be slow. It's going to be a slow turnaround. And then you have the economy. On top of that, listen, this has not hit the real estate market yet. It's going to start to hit the real estate market.
Right.
And, not just restaurant business, all businesses. And people are leaving New York. The people that can afford their second homes, they're gone anyway, and they may stay longer. Or people are purchasing second homes, and people are abandoning New York and going to wherever they're going. Those real estate values are going up, and then like my son, I have a personal experience. My son lived in New York and had his company was in New York, but now they live remotely, and he got stuck out in Colorado when this all hit, and he stayed out there.
Oh, wow.
Off his apartment in New York. So, the people that were thinking about coming to New York, they're going to hold off. People that were thinking about leaving New York, they're going to leave. And then, you're going to have a 25%, these are just like numbers you read, but what the actual number is going to be, nobody knows. But say, even if it's 25% of companies are going to work remotely now, the commercial real estate is going to drop, and it's just going to be a snowball. It's just going to start now, so, It'll come back, but I don't think it's going to be great. So I'm looking actually opportunity outside of New York, right? Where that's going to come back first, where there's more space available for human for human distancing, and even with travel in New York City, most people get to work by subway. So that's another factor they have to come into play with cities like New York or other cities that majority of the employees travel with public transportation.
Exactly. Yeah, the remote work, I think, is killing big cities.
Right.
I mean, you think those buildings were full of workers, and now they're like 25%.
Right.
I mean,
and people think, the landlords, they got to make it, but the landlords, I mean, even the big landlords, everyone related to all those people, they're going to sign. But then there's the smaller landlords and mid-sized landlords. That's how they make that's a business for them. That's how they make their income. So they just can't say, okay, you just pay me half rent or 25% rent. It's not that easy, right? And then also the bigger landlords, they have their debt service to pay to the banks. So they need a certain amount of money that they made their deals on for the restaurants. So they just, it's not as easy to say, just pay me half rent. I mean, some people I know made deals with landlord, and if I had a restaurant, it's what I would do is just like, it's a percentage rent until we get back to normal, right? Which is going to be the new normal, whatever that, So, I know friends of mine have made deal with the landlord, like, I'll give you 10% of gross, that's whatever that is. And then the landlords have to make deals with the bank. So it's going to be a trickle down effect. That's I think, really going to start to hit us now, because the PPP money's gone. And everyone that I know are losing money, and they survive by the PPP money. Now that's not going to happen. So they're going to have to pivot again to survive, or if the government's going to give more PPP money, it's still not. It's a temporary means.
Oh yeah. No, definitely temporary means. You know, leadership is so critical right now in restaurants. What would you say is the number one trait that a leader needs today?
Transparency,
Yeah.
without a doubt. You probably know this book, Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. So integrity, transparency. So I
Mhm.
love that book too, and that's how I manage, through transparency, expectations, such that the integrity, the accountability, all that kind of stuff. Um, I really believe in transparency, integrity, straight talk. The leader has to lead by example, and you have to lead. You can't be all doom and gloom. I mean, you got to keep that
Mm.
to you. Not to say that never happens to leaders, but you can't let your staff see you sweat. But you can share some of that too, because listen, everyone's concerned, everyone's in the same boat. But just transparency and be straight with them, and so everyone can figure out what's ahead and what they have to do to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my business partner in one of the companies I have, restaurant KPI Mastery, his name's Darren Mansari. He always says that leaders are dealers of hope.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you have to give hope. I mean, listen, I'm still optimistic. It's going to come back, and
It will.
I'm always thinking of ideas of what to do, and I've had so many ideas for fast casual restaurants, and this is the time for me to go ahead and do it, right?
Telling you,
Become
now is
casual
the time. Yeah.
and so I'm always mulling around. That's what you saw my whiteboard. You mentioned my whiteboard. I got all my
Mhm.
ideas there, and in my books, and all in my head, and now's the time to push come to shove to really think, flush those out and get them down on paper. you know
Yeah. If you did a
um,
fast casual, what would you do? What would be your concept if you did fast
well,
casual?
I have so many ideas, but with fast casual, it's whether you focus on one or two really good things, or I'm also I eat very healthy now. When you get to a
Mhm.
certain age, Donald, you think about
Yeah, I'm
your
there.
health.
I'm
Yeah,
there.
so I'm into I've dabbled with all this so-called diets, keto,
Yeah.
but it always, for me, it always gets back to the Mediterranean diet, right? Which I
Mhm.
love, which that's how I like to eat. Even though legumes sometimes, some diets, legumes get a bad rap, and this gets a bad rap, and all, etc. So I basically do low carb Mediterranean and very little meat these days, fish. So I would do something in that realm.
Oh, very cool.
Uh, Something healthy, but very tasty. I love pizza, but it's not that healthy as far as if you're eating low carb and stuff. So I'm thinking about doing an ancient grain pizza, a veg burger concept, things like
Ooh,
that.
that'd be good.
But really, healthy stuff. That's where I am now. I'm into longevity. I want to live to be a healthy 100,
Very good.
and diet's a huge factor in that.
Mhm. Well, in the restaurant industry, self-care is usually an afterthought
It is.
especially for chefs. You know, if you could go back and change things, what would you have done different as far as self-care when you were younger?
Well, I tell you, when I was younger, you burn candles at both ends,
You
right?
do,
So I
absolutely.
worked crazy hours. I worked way back. I worked, in hotels. This is when the environment was a little bit different,
Hmm.
not in a good way, but I would be able to, in a hotel in DC during the season, we worked 3 months straight. And I'm not exaggerating, like 7 days a week. Da, 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 da. You drink after work, you work all these long hours, 16-hour days, and you just keep on doing it. And then as time went on, I worked 6 days, 7 days, all my whole career. And then, 6 days for the most part. When I opened my own restaurant officially in 93, that was a big undertaking. And when I had Ryan, my first son, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to miss my kids growing up and be the
Mm.
martyr and be like, I got to be there
Yeah,
on weekends because that's what we do in the restaurant business. So after the first year, my son turned 1, I said, okay, I'm going to work 5 days a week.
very cool.
I'm going to take weekends off, which is unheard of. Now it's more so. Now it's
Right.
more civilized now, the restaurant. You still got to work long hours and at night,
Mhm.
but I just flipped that where I got up in the morning with my kids and brought them, made them breakfast instead of dinner. And then I took them to school or to the school bus when they were a certain age. And I took weekends off and I went to all the games, all the
Mm.
recitals, all their school stuff, the plays and all that. And I didn't miss out on any of that as a
Right.
chef restaurateur, which was unheard of back in the late 80s and 90s.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that was unheard of.
people ask me, how do you do that? I said, I did it because that was important to me.
Mhm.
And I hired a great staff. right? So I had a chef that was in the kitchen in his own right that ran the kitchen when I was there, and I didn't get any complaints. And talk about integrity and transparency. When I was in the dining room a lot in my restaurants, and I knew my customers very well, and so they saw me a lot. And when I started taking weekends off, the staff come in. What do we tell the guests? What do we tell them? You're at a benefit dinner. You're traveling. What do I say? No, you tell them the truth. You tell them I'm spending time with my family. And the response I got from my guests was just unbelievable. They was just good for him. That's great, wonderful. Now I didn't have any issues on during service during those Saturday and Sundays because I had a good team. If there were problems and issues, then maybe I would have lost some customers. But they all responded to good for him, that. So you have to develop systems so you can do that. Hire the right people so you can do that. Have accountability structure put in place so you can do that. And I managed from afar. I still looking back, I was still guilty at my head being at work when I was, watching my son's baseball game sometimes, things like that. But what was it? I kind of digressed here. I don't know what the initial question was, but
about self-care.
Yeah, self-care. So self-care. So I abused I did all that, and I wasn't in drugs or anything, but I certainly had my fair share of beers and wine and stuff. And as you get older, and I've read about self-help and self-care, starting in my early 50s. It's like, what I wish I would have known now what I know then, right? So now I have a morning routines are very, you have, I see what your book and stuff, you read a lot of the same things that I do, but morning routines are very important. Systems are very important.
Oh, yes.
Blocking out time on your calendar, all that, very important. So putting structure in your day. So I wake up, gratitude when I first wake up, spend a few moments with that. Kids are good. Family's good. Brush teeth, wash face, meditate for 15 minutes. Then I start my coffee. I read for 45 minutes, whatever that is, whether it's mostly now I'm getting into, because I'm thinking about this pizza concept, I'm reading what is it? Bread Revolution. It's about whole grains and
oh, wow.
I want to eat whole grains. I love one thing, I've given up sugar for now anyway, because sugar is like you think about anti-inflammatory when you get to a certain age too, right? Inflammatory. So I'm really about health and longevity. So I want to eat whole grains, and I love carbs. So, but it's hard to find good bread that's low carb. So I'm gonna research that and make it myself. And then I work out, and it's very important, self-care for everything. And it helps with when you're feeling down or low or depression or, but it starts with the proper diet and feeling good about that. And, and staying, helps you stay focused throughout the day and not have the sugar crashes and et cetera, et cetera. So self-care is real important to just living a healthy lifestyle and especially going through times like this, it's even more important.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the a lot of younger chefs will ask me questions. We have any advice for me? And the first thing I tell them is like, take better care of yourself when you're younger.
Yes, right.
You actually have longevity.
Yeah. Listen, my body, I'm 61, so my body, I can feel my body break just from the physicality of being in the kitchen. Even like hearing loss. We might hear I got normal hearing loss for some of my age, but they consider being in the kitchen a high noise environment, construction, which I never thought about. Right?
I didn't think of it like that either. I didn't think it was as loud as construction.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's important. It's important to take care of yourself, because then it allows you to do good work. It allows you to still work. I'm still very passionate about what I do, and I can still put in 16-hour days, but I always put that time in the morning first to take care of myself. Then I can put in, if I didn't take care of myself, I couldn't put in those 16-hour days.
Right. Exactly.
Needed.
Exactly. What's the best investment you've ever made? It could be something as small as a knife. Something. What's the best thing you've ever invested in that you felt was really?
Besides, I think, just for speaking to young cooks, the best investment you can make is in yourself, right? Whether it's getting great training, make sure you work under great chefs, get your skill set down, take care of yourself. So invest in yourself. But besides that, I would say, let's see. the best investment I've ever made? There's some things that you get an aha moment, right?
Right.
Um, Let me get back. I think books, always just
Well, you're like me. You're an avid reader, so
yeah. So
books to
books.
me
I mean,
are
always
books are a huge investment for me. I put so much
yeah.
money into books are huge.
I mean, I think books because it helped me with a lot of my self care is reading, and I
Hmm.
got this information. I didn't have a mentor to show me the way, and so yeah, reading and good books and uh, it's always a good investment. Now, so there are a lot of bad books out there. A lot of the self help care stuff gets recycled and reused, but you know, I've learned a lot through that and developed my own systems and how to take care of myself and stuff. But through productivity is big. So I would say in books in general,
Very cool. Hey, and you mentioned having. How important do you think is mentorship?
very important.
Yeah.
That's what probably in my younger career or when I first started out being a chef, I know I wasn't a good mentor. Now I am now, especially with consulting.
Hmm.
I did one huge job up in Vermont, and the labor pool and skill set wasn't very good. And I came in there, and I had my job was to do like 7 restaurants with 9 concepts in 6 months, and redo a couple of kitchens and bring Michelin standards to that project. And a lot of them, when I sat and talked to them as I got into it, unfortunately the opiate addiction went through there, and there
Right.
were ex-convict stuff, and they were talking and stuff. And I'm very disciplined when I go in a place. It starts with coming in on time and doing clean works and all that stuff. And I apply the same standards. And I've learned to bend a little bit more, especially when it's not my kitchen.
Hmm.
When I'm consulting. But when at one point it clicked for me that when I'm not there as their boss or to tell them. I'm there to mentor them. And when
Hmm.
you come from that mindset of mentoring versus I'm the boss, do as I say, it's a different you get a different response. So it's very, very important to mentor your staff. You get a lot more out of them. They learn, and then they go on and
Right.
they carry that on. And part of that mentoring, you're teaching, right? And I get a lot of satisfaction out of teaching and showing. And
Hmm.
even it's funny, the Instagram videos, I didn't want to do them just to say, hey, what am I eating today? Isn't this cool? Isn't this fun? I didn't want to do videos for shock value. I wanted for people to learn something. So it's important for me, for my enjoyment to do them, because I'm not doing it for my ego. I'm not doing it. Maybe eventually it becomes, part of my, at some point you monetize it because being an entrepreneur, you always think about monetizing
Right.
things.
Right.
But it's not it's not my motivation now. But one is to stay busy. Two is I'm actually teaching something, and I feel like I'm mentoring, even though it's through the medium of the internet, but I get satisfaction out of it because hopefully people are learning something. And
Hmm.
that's why in the videos I'm doing more longer videos, which is not the norm for Instagram. Instagram 1 minute because people have short attention spans,
Right.
and I've tried that, and I just don't like to do because then I got to think about what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do, cut it and do this, and I miss a lot of my anecdotes and what I want to say in the history of something. So I do long ones, and maybe I'm not going to get as many hits or many views, but that's the enjoyment for me.
Right.
And I feel like I'm mentoring and teaching through Instagram. So I'm getting that's what
Yeah.
makes that's what how I'm enjoying it. Not I don't go back and see how many views I get, even though you do see that to say, hey, okay,
Right. Right.
geez, I busted my butt last week. I got 3 new videos. I do it sometimes just to what you got to measure to what's that saying, Don? What's the saying when you measure? I'm losing my thought here. You have to measure to manage, right? You have to measure.
Oh, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Peter
Yeah, something
Drucker.
like that.
Actually,
There's a
Peter. Yeah, it's Peter Drucker. If you can't
yeah,
measure it, you can't manage it.
right.
But I would say your Instagram stuff is like you stay with the demographic you feel is comfortable. I mean, yeah, I got people that watch my videos for 5-10 seconds and they check out. But then I got people who watch all my video. Watch the
Oh
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I do my stuff more towards those people that actually want the value.
Right. You know what? And I've gotten my chef friend. I mean, they call us, oh, we love your videos. We love you. And that, you've heard about the term 1,000 true fans, right?
That's it.
So, yeah. And versus 200,000 that don't really care, but just like 1,000 true fans. So, yeah. And I've had people say, like, what equipment are you using? It's like, I just got my iPhone. That's it. No special lighting, no mics, nothing. It's just me, myself, and I video it and then do limited editing and throw it up. And if it's not supposed to be perfect, right? It's supposed to be raw, and that's what I throw up there. Anyway, it's fun.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
it's really good. So, what do you kind of see as the new normal for restaurants?
Obviously, the new norm. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. The new norm now, obviously, is safety and protocols. Controlling all that with masks and all that. What do you put in place? It's very important to communicate that to your guests, put it up on your websites, train your staffs, have systems in place to make sure that's all being implemented, because as you know, unless you have the systems in place and accountability structure put in place, things will slip through the cracks and something could happen. So that's the new norm, certainly. To go and pick up models, the new norm. I was thinking the other day, these restaurants that do tasting menus might be a good format, because you can be well spaced. You can charge $500 a person. I know I am desperately in the mood to go out and have a good meal. I've been to a restaurant since this all happened. I think that right now people aren't even thinking about fine dining, but I think there's the one that launched in I forget the name of the one launched in Chicago. The chef, what's his name? He just, did a tasting menu format. And it's
Alinea Grant?
Not Alinea, no. It just opened up.
It just opened up a new one? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just opened up a couple weeks ago.
Is the guy from Curtis Duffy?
Right. No, yes, Curtis Duffy. So he opened up. He used to have Grace. He opened up a restaurant.
That's right.
I can't remember the name of it. And they're doing, all that all the fine dining, 12, 15 course tasting. Now you charge $300 or $400 or $500 for that, and those type of reservations you did very carefully anyway. You did 2 turns and you spaced them out 3 hours, and then it's conducive to having people 6 feet apart, and maybe that could work. So I think about that. Like maybe it's time to do a restaurant. Cool. That could work, but the concept of having a large space where you're counting on turnover and large volume is not going to work for a while. It'll come back when people are more comfortable. And I would say that's going to be, I don't know, several years out.
That's right. His new restaurant's called Ever.
Ever? Okay.
Yeah. In Chicago.
Yeah.
Ever
he's on Instagram. He did I saw a live video. He's doing fine dining just as he would pre-COVID. It might work. And supposedly he's booked out, 2 months in advance. So.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very awesome, actually. If Chicago wasn't so crazy, I'd probably go.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Now, Chicago's a little crazy. I stay away from the big cities right now. I'm just not one to go to the big cities for travel.
Yeah.
With all the kind of unrest that's going on. So, what's your favorite social media platform?
I guess I didn't dabble in it all until I had my face. I had them up, and I had a staff that did it, and then but I never really got too involved in it. I never really jumped into that whole celebrity chef thing 100%. But now I'm really realizing through this you need to diversify, right? You just can't rely on your restaurants. And so my chef friends that are the big celebrity chef friends, maybe I'm second tier celebrity chef. I don't know. But they're doing okay. They have their stuff going on, and they got their endorsements, and they're gonna survive this without any without much of a
Right.
Well, listen, everyone has a certain level of pain, right? So right now, I guess it's Instagram because I'm so involved in it, and I'm trying to tie it together with there's something wrong with my Facebook connection. I don't know. I got to figure all that stuff out, but I get very frustrated very easy because technology is not fast enough for me, right? So you'd think that, because for me to do a video, and I'm probably doing it wrong, I got to do a video, edit it, put it on my desktop, transfer it to iMovie, edit it, transfer it back onto my desktop, put it onto another form. Anyway, it takes a while. And I'm thinking, why does this take so long to upload? And I thought technology, because I've never done this, and it does take a while. But anyway, but if I don't know something, I want to master it quickly, and I get frustrated, and technology only works so fast, even though parts of it do work fast. But the whole uploading video it's not, for me, it doesn't flow quickly enough yet. I think there's room for improvement there.
Very cool.
I guess
Yeah, I like
Instagram, and
Instagram.
then that's because that's the platform I'm using now to do my videos. But the YouTube, you got to, and then YouTube, you got to do horizontal. So
Right.
Instagram prefers vertical, even though
Vertical.
we can film horizontal now. So right now I'm just focusing on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm going to start to dabble in more with YouTube, because I think the videos that I'm doing are more apropos for long version videos that people, maybe the viewership is more open to watching longer videos or learning something as opposed to just getting entertainment, right? Because Instagram's about more entertainment than I think learning something. Right. Although I think it's changing because a lot of the chefs are on there now, right? And they're doing longer videos, and people like Michael Simon and a couple other chefs I was studying to get the stylistic things and what equipment to use, tripods. I mean, I really ground zero. I didn't know what equipment to get and how they shot certain things and what they did. So I've learned all that anyway. Yeah.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I do is I'll shoot the horizontal format.
Yep.
And then I'll go into my photos, I'll edit the video, and I'll crop it to make it a square so I can put it on Instagram.
Oh, okay. So is it just, I don't want to waste up your
No. This is a good hack for everybody. It's an easy thing to do. I didn't know you could do it.
So you go into photo. I know my girlfriend was telling me there's a new app too that does that automatically squares it.
Yeah, you can do it right on your iPhone now.
So I'm in my iPhone. I shoot horizontal.
Right.
I open up my photos and then edit it.
Hit edit and hit crop and just bring it in to make it square, and then you can use and you can also do a small piece of it, and you can use it for your Instagram.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I haven't done it with horizontal yet, but I always fit it to Instagram. But even so, when I do that, still sometimes the opening photo of my head. But I think that you either got to film further away or I don't know. So I don't know.
It's all good.
Thank you.
It's all good. Yeah. Hey, and so what's your Instagram handle?
Terrance Brennan.
Yeah, it's pretty. Like me, I'm Donald Burns, so it's pretty easy to find. Yeah. Anybody wants to get on Instagram? If you're on Instagram, probably most people are. Yeah, check out Terrance's Instagram feed. Good stuff. Like I said, man, watching him cook makes me hungry. You did some duck the other day, and that thing, I was just like, oh, now I want duck so bad.
Yeah.
So you and I talk about culture a lot. How influential is culture to a restaurant's success?
It's probably the number one thing. Culture is, and that's what I focus a lot on when I go into a consulting situation, is changing the culture, which is the hardest thing to do, right? Changing the culture is, especially if it's steeped in 20 years of mediocrity or the things they've done. Oh, we've always done it this way. This is the way we've always done it. Well, so when I go into, that's my number one thing, and that's, the Ray Dalio book is good. Principles is about, that's the number one thing, because you can put all the systems in place, all your new checklists and all your new recipes and stuff, etc. But if you don't change the culture and get them to come on board with it, it's not going to make that big of a difference. So when I go into a place, I change the culture to the mindset of excellence. The mindset, I like to say the mindset of Michelin, just because I've had Michelin stars, but mindset of Michelin is just the mindset of excellence, right? So whether I'm doing a sandwich or torchon or foie gras, it's the same approach, the mindset of excellence. We want to make it the best sandwich. And the same detail goes into that sandwich as does, a torchon or foie gras, right? So changing the culture is, when I go into a new situation, I talk to the staff first, not even management, because the staff is going to give you, everyone has their biases, right, and their opinions, and you got to decipher what's real and what's not, and what's an opinion versus fact, right? Because people speak their opinions as fact.
Exactly.
Really opinion. What really
especially
happened.
Nowadays, huh?
What's that?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah. So, and people add on to things. They're not really lying, but they don't realize it. But some people do lie. But some people will say something and assume something, and then they speak it as its fact. And you have to decipher through all that noise to get to what actually happened or what really happened. So I'll get all the history, and then I pay no mind, and then I come in, I start a new, start from a clean slate, knowing the history just to get that background to know some of the history is good, but to change that culture and get them on board, and they're used to like BSing or no one hold them accountable, and someone just going, okay, that's okay, and I always ask the five questions, right? You ask five questions, the technique called the five questions, right? I mean, Steve Bezos uses it. Toyota, one of the Japanese firms, did this where that's constant improvement. But I'm getting all my knowledge and reading a little confused here. But it's five. You ask, like, when you have an issue with a problem, you ask five questions, right? Like how to happen, what is it? And by the time you ask the second, third question, you come up with the solution. So I apply a lot of that into what I do, and that changing the culture, is the most important thing, because it's that team is gonna it's gonna execute your vision or the concept or your standards. Is the culture that you set to because it's the people that are gonna.
Right.
It's all about people in the restaurant industry and in any business, really, and they're the ones that are going to implement what you change or your goals and standards and procedures, and you can't do that without changing the culture of the staff.
Exactly.
To get them on board to whatever whatever the goals are.
Yeah. So I feel culture is probably the number one thing that is what holds restaurants back from reaching their potential. And in my first book, was Your Restaurant Sucks.
Right.
My second book was Your Restaurant Still Sucks.
That's great titles, by the way.
Yeah. And then, I'm working on my third book right now. And
it's
my third book,
sucks.
no, actually, my third book is called Your Restaurant Culture Sucks.
You're gonna bring all your because so they didn't make the changes or something.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I've tried. This is my final plea, and I said I got to do like one last book in the Sucks series. I said, so I'm gonna finish it off with Your Restaurant Culture Sucks.
Yeah. Culture. They say coach.
Culture. Yeah, Your Restaurant Coach Sucks. Yeah, culture sucks. Yeah. If you haven't read my first two books, you still haven't fixed it. Yeah, maybe I suck then. Maybe.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
No, but culture is the most important thing, because even if half your staff is on board and your other half isn't, it's still going to be a break in the chain. So, the culture is very, very important, extremely important. And you got to set up accountability structure and checkpoints to make sure the culture is being implemented properly and consistently. Consistently is very important too, because you can get everyone rah in the beginning, but you want to probably you move on to other things. You're not there every day, and then you can't let that slip. So you got to put accountability structure in place to make sure that that's still it still carries on whether you're there or not.
Very true. What is one thing you suggest that restaurants do right now to get ready for kind of this new economy?
Get financially, get a clear picture of what you're going to do. Number one, I mean, you can't just let's try this, and you can't be wishy-washy. You don't have time to try things. You need to do all your research, financially get stable. Figure out what you're going to do, right? Whether it's curbside pickup or delivery, or can you make it on? Run the numbers, run your pro formas, and whatever you're going to do, make sure the numbers work. And then make sure you're financially set up to make it work, and then have insurance built into that too. Make sure you have enough resources and funds to in case it doesn't happen the way you want it, or there's another huge outbreak, and you got to have a backup plan B and plan C and D. I think now too. So get clear on what you want to do. Get a plan. Get financially stable to support that plan, and then have plan B, plan C, and plan D.
I'm always shocked how many restaurant owners, especially small independent restaurant owners, that don't know their numbers that well.
Right. It's not brain surgery. You got to, the numbers aren't that difficult, but and look at them every day, Don. Listen, I've been guilty at this early in my career where things are going well. I get my monthly statement, look at, okay, numbers look good.
Yeah.
I could have made so much more money if I watched my numbers daily,
Yeah.
Oh, here's the saying I was trying to make. What doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. That's what
There
I
you
was
go.
trying to say earlier. So you got to measure it. I do payroll every day now, or what I did. You look at your numbers every single day.
Yeah.
Your top three, right? Your food, and then that's how you manage it. And then you can control it, because after the fact, after the monthly statement comes out, it's too late. And then if you get your whole staff looking at the numbers every day, then they're going to do a better job of managing the numbers, right? And then and matching it to your forecast, budget, etc.
And that goes back to your transparency thing.
Right.
Yeah. I hate to say it, is like most people who work in the restaurant think the owners are just making, bags load of money. Yeah.
Right. No.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I did. You can if you hit all cylinders. Right. Back in the day, you could. Now it's more difficult. Right. It's much more difficult. That's why managing and watching numbers on a daily basis is that much more important. But no, I mean, the margins are notoriously low, right? So they're not making tons of money, and
Right. So
but
when Michelin was in its heyday, what was your best profits you were making?
gosh, 20, 22, 25%.
Yeah.
The norm for a fine dining restaurant like that, if you're full capacity, 80, 90% of the week. Because Mondays you're going to do, if you average the weeks out, you just need to be 80, 90% occupancy to make money. That's why this 50% occupancy is not going to work.
Right.
Unless you got to deal with the landlord, and obviously you change your concept where it's got to be limited everything, limited menu, limited staff, etc. And if you can do 2 turns at that, you may be able to take. So yeah, but the norm for a fine dining restaurant is below 10%. 10% is considered good. 10, 12%. 8%. Some restaurants go on 3, 4%. And I think another thing that's going to happen, Donald, during this is restaurants that are marginal, losing money, but they're able to let that go on for a while, or they're marginal, they're going to think it's worth it to work this hard, work even harder to make 2 or 3%. It could be the opportunity for them to say, you know what, let's just close up and reinvent.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they can save face. They make a deal. There's no, people are not, could be surprised if they close. When it's perfectly normal to, hey, listen, we're going to close up shop, because it just doesn't, it's not viable anymore, right?
Exactly.
And if restaurants that are obviously losing money, they'll close. But I think restaurants that are even marginal and making a little bit of profit, they're going to reanalyze and say, is it worth it? Is it worth all this? Sucking all my time and energy and barely making money. Let's just close it up and then see what we're going to do on the other side.
How long do you think it's going to take for the restaurant world, to kind of recover from all this?
I think 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah. 3 to 5. I mean, if we get a vaccine early next year, it's still, and then you still hear 40, 50, 60% of people aren't going to take it. It's going to be a while before people feel comfortable. I think it's going to start in second market, secondary cities, where there's more space, like we talked about earlier, and less density, and everyone's going to be and we can do quick testing. Quick testing is a big part of that. But then not only have to worry about COVID, then it's going to the economy. What's the economy going to look like?
Right.
Are we going to go into a deep recession? Are people going to have the debt that companies are taking on now? I mean, people are just not going to have the disposable income. People are digging a big hole right now. So that's the second component of coming out of this is how the economy and people's disposable income, and to support restaurants. Now, I think the restaurants that do survive, they're going to be busy, because there's going to be a lot less. There's going to be less of them, right? So I don't know if you read Talib, I think it was the Swan book, or
the Black Swan.
Yeah, or Anti-Fragile.
Yeah, those are good books. I love those books.
So this is the stressor, right? You need, at certain points throughout history, there's major stressors. This is a major stressor for the world right now. Right. And what is going to come out of this? We're going to come out of it stronger with new things put in place for the next epidemic. Because there's going to be another epidemic that's going to hit us, whether it's 10 years or 5 years. Right. Then we'll be ready for it. We'll be hopefully more set up for it, right? And then the same thing with restaurants. We're going to have a fallout But from that, we're going to run our business much better. We're going to be stronger for it. The restaurants that are left, they're going to be busy because there's that less restaurants to go to. I mean, we were, and it showed all our issues we had over with our business. And really, like how fragile is the restaurant business? It really showed all those issues.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So now we can rethink how we want to rebuild our restaurants, how we want to operate our restaurants. Does that mean insurance for every employee and we charge you more? Yeah, it's probably going to mean restaurants are going to be more expensive, but there's going to be less of them. And people, the public's going to have to get over that. It's a lot of money to run a restaurant, to go enjoy to go enjoy a great meal in a restaurant, not to say 3 Michelin star, but just any restaurant.
Right.
There's so much that goes on to what you're getting. And I think that's going to come out of this too. It's like it costs a lot of money to do that. And restaurants have been hesitant to raise their prices because there's always slack about it. The media is a big part of this. It's like, this is expensive. Oh, is it $300 to go get one of the best meals in life? Is nothing. It's an experience you're paying for, not just the food on the plate. You $300, $400, $500 at a Broadway show. No one's balks at that.
No one balks at it at all.
Right. It's a production like that. It means a lot of hands involved, a lot of labor. Labor is your highest cost in a restaurant, right? Highest controllable cost. And it's your highest cost period, higher than, So, that'll be, I think, something new that we're going to have to charge more. And especially if we want to pay our employees more, because the tip percentage things, I don't think it's working, the inclusive, and I don't think it's going to, coming out of it, it's going to all of a sudden explode either. But we restaurateurs, we have to charge more so they can take care of their staff, right? And they can get more stable. And they can put money away, a certain percentage away to ride out hard times and not have just a couple of weeks of cash flow in the bank. I mean, it's crazy, right? We live, most restaurants live week to week.
Yep. Sad. So how do you deal with stress?
Well, I deal through meditation, through working out helps out, healthy, feeling good about yourself. And I listen. I don't know if you've heard of landmark education. I've taken courses like that where, the stress comes from what human beings are meaning making machines, right?
Right.
And I study the Stoics, right? You read about Stoicism.
I love it.
And it puts things in perspective, right? Life is what happens in life, and then what we do as human beings is the meaning we give to it. Meaning what happened is the meaning we give to it. So all that's happened is what happened, and then all the stress and pain and suffering comes to what we give meaning to what happened. So I have that education and that perspective where, now listen, not to say I never get upset or get stressed, but I live in the in the moment. Yesterday is gone. Like, you learn from that, but all we have right now is right now, and then right now and right now is this moment to, create the next thing. It doesn't mean you don't plan and you don't make goals and you don't create goals, but it means that if you really live in the moment, everything's neutral. There's no thinking about the money in the future. There's no this in the future. The past is that you don't think about the past because all there is now. Now, easier said than done, right?
Right.
So, and I really think if you have children, that's the most important thing. And if they're all healthy, it's all good from there, right? And you have your own health. That's good. I mean, I have a girlfriend that has health issues, so that's a sad point in my inside with me.
Right.
However, she's unbelievably strong, and she still brings joy to people's lives, and it is, we've learned to live with it. But not to say there's no suffering in my life and everything's all hunky dory, but that's I do that a lot and meditate and this is life, the good and the bad and ugly. Going through this helps you appreciate sitting down and having a meal with your kids. I'm not been able to be with my children in the last 7 months, right? So, and my son Ryan lived in New York, and we used to go out all the time and eat and dine, and he got me involved in going out to eat again. I was jaded, right? I've been there, done that. I don't need to go to the next town. I don't need to go throw some 3 Michelin star restaurant, but we experienced that together, and I really got into dining as a guest myself, and I really missed that. So, I appreciate the cup of coffee in the morning. I appreciate my gym. I appreciate this office. I appreciate talking to you. My computer, the technology we have these days is extraordinary. I mean, if we didn't have Skype and all that stuff, I can still be somewhat connected. Imagine that. I mean,
Yeah.
I have gratitude. Gratitude's a big part of that, right? Gratitude,
Yes.
and not just gratitude for the small things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude for having food. Gratitude for, that cup of coffee. Just a cup of coffee in the morning. Be able to have that cup of coffee without, bombs dropping on you or hurricanes hitting you, or, hopefully no one's, gotten sick in your life and everybody's okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
I wake up every morning. First thing is gratitude. Made it through. I woke up, number one, because I think all over the world, maybe 8 million people didn't wake up.
Did not wake up.
Made it, family's good. And from there, it's, shit happens, right? Life goes, this is life. All what's happening now is life. So you got to appreciate that too. Not to appreciate the death and all the, the injustice, the going on, in the world now and all that. That's part of life, but you got to have that part to appreciate what's really important too. So if you have a healthy family's good, that's most of it.
Definitely. So you mentioned quite a few books today, but what would you say is the one book restaurant owners must read this month?
Well, I'm not gonna. It's probably not gonna be. I don't read a lot of restaurant book, how to run a restaurant, or
No.
I don't.
What's one book you think people should read to make themselves a better human being?
Oh my gosh! Let me see. I got.
You're like me. I got books. I'm surrounded by books.
Actually, today on my day calendar is because I had when I moved up to Hudson Valley, I put all my books up in the attic, right? But I have shelves in my office and they're full, and I'm trying to reorganize because I'm trying to keep the books I use the most. Now that I'm doing more cooking and stuff, I'm doing more. I have books that are like more scientific because I want to teach. I want to not just tell why, but how, and to tell them how, but also why, right? So I got books there where I'm reorganizing stuff. I don't know. Yeah. We're not going to talk about health stuff. So let's see. I'm reading about health stuff a lot lately. What changed? I guess a lot of people are going through being down a lot and going. So, goodness, let me see what I got over here. I think that Stoicism. So let me.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Letters from the Stoic Seneca.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love that one.
Those Stoicism books. So it helps you put things in perspective. We're not talking about goal setting, all that kind of stuff. But let me see. There's another really good book by Ryan. What's his name?
Ryan Holiday.
Yeah. Obstacles in the way.
Ooh, that's a good. I like that one too.
Yeah. So I think people probably got a lot of obstacles in the way now. It's just that's a real good one when you're going through some hard times and having problems and issues. That's good. That's a good one. Tony Robbins is good. I'm
a huge Tony Robbins fan.
Books that I've got a lot of pages turned over and stuff. It just helps you get through some difficult times. You come up with a mantra, something that keeps you in a positive mindset, helps out a lot. Like I have my calendar that we do block timing and deep thinking and then I'll right now I'm looking at supplements now, so I'll study supplements and put that on my calendar. But I got a day book. I work on my computer a lot, but I also got a day book with top 3 priorities. Right, affirmations are good. Right, and for affirmations that you repeat a couple times a day, I put them on my.
What's one of your affirmations?
Oh, they change. They change a little bit, but it could be like something awesome is going to happen today. Thank you, universe. Something like that. Or something great is going to come out of this. I just know it. Or as simple as 1 or 2 words. Just to keep your mind. I'm very well trained, so I don't need that as much. But I know when I was going through tough times back before I had this knowledge and stuff, these kind of tools kind of help.
Mindset.
And, listen, it's going to be okay, right? This too shall pass. And because I've been, we've been through a lot, and we know that there's going to be good times again. There's going to be this, and we'll get through it. And then it's it's life, and the good and bad of it is it's just fascinating. Life is it's fascinating. Right?
Definitely. What's kind of one quote you live by?
I think it's one of them is every adversity, every failure carries with it a equal or greater seed of opportunity.
That's true.
Right.
So true.
Who was that? Clement Stone? Is that Clement Stone? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Debbie Clement Stone.
Yeah. So listen, bad things happen, and there's opportunity from that comes out of that. It's something equal or something better. So I'm gonna finally do my fast casual thing right now, or something's gonna present an opportunity to me because of the COVID. There's going to be other opportunity. I've already had 2 big phone calls because of COVID, right? So I can, it's bad, and I'm not making light of it, and people at all, but it's making me think differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's always a seed of equal or greater opportunity out of something that's not so great.
So true. You can probably see one of mine is on the wall behind me. It's a Mario Andretti quote, and it says, "Everything seems under control. You're just not going fast enough."
I have one on my in front of me, right?
Yeah.
There's two of them I have posted up here. One is the best way to predict the future is to create it. I love that one.
That's a great one. I love that one.
And then there's and here I'm guilty of this. I have so many ideas, but this one's really good. It's not about ideas. It's about making ideas happen. I'm so guilty about having all these great ideas and not making it happen because I just got too many things going.
Yeah, you're like me. I got notebooks of stuff too.
Yeah. So that one, and the best way to predict the future is to create. I love that one.
That's awesome.
Being an entrepreneur and things like that. So,
but
you're in control of yourself, right? You are. You're nobody else to look at but yourself, and look in before you look out, right? Look in.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I know, like I have my quotes on my wall. You have your quotes on your wall. Surround yourself with things that are positive, that just kind of remind you all the time.
Right. Your environment, you bring up a good point. Your environment's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So, you surround yourself, you set up your environment where there's less negativity. One thing, your quotes that you like, the books that you write, sometimes, listen, you don't need to read every single book that's out there on self-improvement. There's some few good ones, and you just highlight them and read them. And, even if you reread something at some point in your life, it can occur to you differently. And there could be an aha moment in something you read before. And that will help you get through a situation. Or help you, finally sit down and do something and write that business plan or get that idea in action and things like that. Be in action, right? Also, another one I like is, be cause in the matter.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
So that's just like it's up to you to make it happen. Not like, so-and-so didn't call me back. Well, I didn't pick up the phone and call it. Da-da-da didn't happen. Well, you got to be cause in the matter.
I'm going to write that one down. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's like, what's the other one I do? Let me look my old day book. And I also write down daily quotes in my book. So I like to do things physically too, because you remember them better.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I mean, I try to be digital because, I travel and, and just, but I still love, pen and, a nice heavy duty pen.
Yeah.
And a paper. Oh, I just like putting my ideas on paper. It just makes me.
So here's one that's a mantra or a affirmation is, I am in action and being cause in the matter.
There you go.
Because you can't be cause in the matter if you're not in action.
Exactly, that's true.
So I would, there's my day book. I'd write that up top, highlight it.
That's good.
But
like that day book.
Then down, you got to look at your day book.
Yeah, definitely.
I do this as part of my morning routine. So I have my day set the day before. But I don't put down specific. I write this down the day of because I want to be in the moment. So my priorities. My schedule, I do the day before. I do it 1 week out, and then I do a daily one. And then there's what I'm thankful for. I do in the morning, the day one. Leave that open. Day priorities are already set for day 4, so I know what I'm doing when I wake up.
Right.
Affirmations are done that day because when you write them out, you feel it better, and you're more aware of it, right? So then I'll do that, and then I'll put reminders in. I want to check this at least 3 times a day and read
Right.
it. Because if you write your affirmations once and then go about your day, doesn't matter. So I make sure I hit it 3 times a day and,
Right.
and take a few minutes to visualize. Right now, it's not much to visualize. I don't have any problem. I'm kind of things are on hold, so I'm working on myself. So now I'm really working on my health, learning all that, and that's what I'm working on the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
As projects develop, then it will turn into projects and business plans and things like that. But right now, the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been working on what to do to improve my health, so I can live to be a healthy 100.
What day planner do you like? Which one? Which
I
brand do you
tried
use?
them all. I even thought about. It's called This Is My Era.
This is my era.
Yep,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
got what I'm thankful for. Top priorities. As you know, you can't do 5 things. It's top 3.
Right.
Even another good book is called The One Thing.
Oh, I love that book too. Yeah, it's a great one.
Right? If you got one big project, then it's got your to-do list. So I put on my, certain. It's so easy to get pulled away with social media, especially now. I understand more with being an Instagram. Is to only block out time at certain times that you see it, certain social media, because
Mm-hmm.
you'll get yanked and your day pulled away,
Old
and your whole day is gone. You lose a lot of
distractions,
productivity.
man.
Then it has
Distractions.
affirmations, and then it has you have it's also a goal book. So it has your
Oh,
goals.
very cool.
Then it has a week planner, and then for my week planner, I do my day planner, right?
Right.
And then then it has a regular physical schedule. What book do you like?
Oh, I put my own stickers on there, but I use one from Ink and Volt.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this one too. I'm gonna check out yours though. I like that one. Looks good too. But yeah, I love this Ink and Volt one too. I've been using these for a couple years now. Yeah.
What it has in it. I mean, some of the stuff I've tried. I've looked at a lot of them. I tried them. Some of the stuff I just don't. This was more specific, and if I do one myself, I would make some changes. So maybe that's some idea that might come out of it. I'm going to write an ebook. I've listened to podcasts about how to, do you know James Altucher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or of him, so he has a podcast, and now he's doing a thing called Side Hustle, and it's all about doing how to make money
Oh wow.
with a side hustle. And now I'm about recreating myself, so I'm recreating
Mhm.
myself now, right? So how do I, not realize so much of me physically being there as a consultant on the spot, because
Right.
that's, there's no secondary income in that. It's just
Mhm.
like they want you there, blah, blah. How do you build so I'm looking at redoing my website, doing ebooks, and even if they're just a series of small ebooks, you charge $1.99 for it. Doesn't matter,
Right.
something like that. So I stay busy with a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you need help with that, let me know, because I got the publishing stuff down now. So
Do you
yeah.
have you self-published?
Yeah, I self-publish. Yeah, my first 2 books were self-published, and I did that a little booklet too called Outstanding Mindset. I self-published that, and then
Oh, okay.
that
Did
3rd
you
book.
do
So
through Amazon? Did Amazon publish it?
yep, I did it on Amazon. I can help you out with that too.
Oh,
So.
great. So that I came across in a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm done with the stuff I've already, next few weeks, then at one point I'm going to spend 2 weeks on that. Learn as much as I can. I'm sure I'll be calling you.
Yeah,
And
call me.
I'll write an ebook.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Well, Terrance, if people want to go to your website, how do they get a hold of you?
TerranceBrennan.com.
Pretty easy, yeah. www.terrancebrennan.com.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Instagram, Terrance Brennan.
Terrance Brennan, Instagram.
And then I don't know. I got two Facebook accounts, but I think it's Terrance Brennan. But it's not very active right now. I got to get. That's one of my goals. This week is to hook that up with Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm having issues. Something happened where it's locked, and I don't have anyone to help me, and I'm frustrated. So I don't know. I got to figure that out.
All right. Hey, Terrance, I want to say again, I enjoy our conversation so much. I always learn so much. I got tons of little notes here I've made during our call. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate all you've done to help restaurants out there in the world get better. And, I'm really honored just to have you as a friend and as a guest on today's show.
Likewise, I really enjoy your work, and I think there's a lot of things that we practice the same.
Yep,
right?
We definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay then. Stay safe, my friend.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Terrance.
All right. We'll see you now. Bye.